Joining me now is retired four-star General Jack Keane, joining the show right now. General, what do you make of this agreement in principle? It sounds positive. What say you?
Yeah, this thing has a lot more legs on it than the deals we've seen many times, with Hamas in the Gaza area. And reason is for a couple of. One, Israel put so much pressure on Lebanon with decapitating the leadership, which is still ongoing, removing the majority of their long-range missiles and some degree of rockets, through devastating air campaign. And then the third thing, going in there with troops on the ground, to get all the Hezbollah out of the southern area where they were firing into northern Israel and destroy the actual infrastructure that was supporting them. By that I mean weapon storage areas, weapon sites from which to fire. There was a lot of it there to include tunnel complexes. So that has helped to force Hezbollah to the negotiating table. But here's something that's really significant, Stuart, and a bit surprising to me, is Iran has pushed Hezbollah make the deal. And I think that underscores also what we've talked about before, that Iran is back on their heels. Both of their proxies are losing, obviously Hamas and Hezbollah, and they have lost their air defense system to be able to protect everything that they care about from an air campaign inside of Iran. So the makings of this is certainly in a good direction. The sticking point, I think, will be what Alex mentioned, and that is Israel wants to be able, as part of the deal, if they see Hezbollah about to conduct an attack into northern Israel, they have a right to attack them preemptively, part of the deal, or if they move their troops back into the southern area, they can attack them. This is pretty similar to the deal, UN Resolution 1701, after the First War. But it was violated almost immediately. The peace enforcers to keep Hezbollah out was the UN peace enforcers. Failed miserably. Israel suspects that the Lebanese army will also fail, and that to keep the Hezbollah fighters out. That is why Israel wants to be able to go back in there as part of the deal. And we'll see if they're able to achieve that.
I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. A top Russian general and 500 North Korean soldiers have reportedly been killed by a British-made Storm Shadow missile. General, could this weapon make a real difference in Ukraine?
Yeah, this and the ATACMS weapon systems are a long-range weapon system they've had for a while, and they've used them in Crimea quite effectively, and now being used because of the Biden administration has removed the restrictions and start to use them quite successfully. It obviously will have an impact. These systems can take out infrastructure and the logistical infrastructure and the command and control infrastructure, what this did, quite effectively. And we'll see finally what gets confirmed out of this. But there's no doubt that something very significant has taken place here, impacting Russian command and control, likely troops on the ground, to include North Koreans. And certainly we want the Ukrainians to be able to keep doing this effectively as they're doing here.
President-elect Trump's pick for National Security Advisor, Congressman Mike Waltz, he's comparing the war in Ukraine to World War I trench warfare. Roll that tape, please.
It is just an absolute meat grinder of people and personnel on that front. It is more like World War I trench warfare. President Trump is incredibly concerned about the carnage that is taking place there. All of our allies and partners need to be carrying this burden going forward.
But, General, I thought it was more like tank warfare and World War II. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there has been some trench warfare here, to be sure, in terms of defending against attacks. The Russians have been trying to take a city called Provost for 8 months, 30,000 casualties a month. Last month, 57,000, using mechanized forces, attacking slowly, grinding, making some tactical progress, but not a lot of operational gains. But it's also a high-tech war. I mean, Russia's using cruise missiles, ballistic missiles. Ukrainians are using the same. Drones has changed the character of war. Ukraine has two forces fighting on the battlefield. They have their mechanized combined arms forces, and they have a drone force completely separated from it, organized to do all of the attacks. They have produced inside of Ukraine this year 1.4 million drones, Stuart, that have been used in these attacks. Next year, 5 million. The Russians have a comparable number themselves. So the technology in this war is changing the character of the war, although, Representative Walz is also right. There's many of the characteristics of it that go back to other wars in terms of the difficulty of mechanized forces to move and move effectively. Why aren't they able to move effectively? Not so much because of the trenches. It's actually because of the drones that are killing them. A tank used to be the best thing to kill a tank on a battlefield. Now, drone.
That's extraordinary.
That's the best thing to do it.
What a change. General, always a pleasure. Hope you have a good Thanksgiving, and we hope to see you again real soon. Thank you, General. Okay.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you and your team. Thank you.
We'll take it. Thank you, sir.